Is Costco Henderson. It is hot. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Whiskey Wonders. And today we have a great wander for you that is outside the bounds of California from the beautiful silver state of Nevada, more specifically in Las Vegas. Even more specifically, it's a Costco that's in Henderson, which is sort of on the way out of Las Vegas, so it's not technically in Las Vegas, but it's basically Las Vegas. And basically the wife and I, well, we had decided before it gets too wintry, we wanted to take a break from this crazy heat that we're having here in Southern California and go out to, well, even the hotter Las Vegas, which in hindsight doesn't make a ton of sense. But, one of the great things about Las Vegas is they are home to some of the new and best upcoming whiskey and bourbon makers, specifically Smoke Wagon. So in this very special Vegas Whiskey Wonders, we see some great, awesome whiskeys from the other side of the California-Nevada border. And we see things like Smoke Wagon, the Uncut Unfiltered, Lagavulin 8, which is the 200th anniversary of Lagavulin Celebration Whiskey, and the West Prairie Bourbon, and a whole bunch more. Now, before we get to it, I would just want to say thank you to all of you folks out there who do turn into the channel, and it just really means a lot. And it's great to have you all a part of our small but kind of growing whiskey community, and it's even more amazing to hear your comments and your feedback about what you think about whiskey overall, the general milieu, the hunting of whiskey, and what prices look like where you are, because what I'm finding is that it is really quite different from one place to the other. It's not all the same across the country and across the world. Also, of course, if you do like these videos, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and the little bell button so you can get notifications when the newest videos come out. And you know what? It's great for the channel, it's great for the algorithm, and it might even win you some favor with the whiskey gods. All right, now let's get down to the whiskey wander. All right, so first, before we get started, let's start with the whiskey check for today. And today I'm enjoying another one of my really favorite whiskeys out there, which is this Barrel's Craft Spirits. They are kind of one of those new age whiskey makers, which is perfectly falling in line with the Smoke Wagon, as well as the Prairie Bourbon that we're looking at, the High West folks that we're looking at today. It is something that I will drink not on a regular basis, but sort of on a regular basis. Definitely not as much as I would like, but it's kind of expensive and they're kind of sort of hard to get. This one specifically is the Barrel Spirits Batch 31. Again, we can take a look at that. Yeah. It's bottle number 15,093, and it is aged 63 years old and has an ABV of 55.6%. So it is a really nice flavor. It's very sweet, and again, it's got a kind of new agey whiskey flavor to it, but I really enjoy it. And it's something that hopefully I can find some more of, but luckily I got more than one bottle of it. So I'm just really happy to have it. Really happy to have you all here. Cheers to you all, because let's face it, you can never really drink too much whiskey. You can only just drink it too fast. Cheers. All right, so let's talk about this first whiskey that we see here. I'll set that over there. That we see here at this Costco in Henderson, which is this Smoke Wagon Uncut Unfiltered. And it seems like the Smoke Wagon, which is relatively new. It is not. You can see the numbers there on it. And it's again, Smoke Wagon. It seems relatively new. It's kind of an upstart whiskey maker that is basically in the heart of Las Vegas, and it is truly having its own moment in the sun. And they've been seeming to blow up over these last few years, and offer a whole variety of levels of bourbon. Everything from the Uncut the Younger, which is kind of kind of big entry level for it, all the way up to some really interesting experimental whiskeys and ryes they have put together that they are blending. Now, although I have another one of these at home, I have never really seen it at Costco, and I really do enjoy it after I got the first one. So I did end up picking up this one bottle, which is bottle number 144B, which was bottled on May 7th, 2022, so this year. Now, the Smoke Wagon, this one specifically is the Uncut Unfiltered, which is the flagship of the whiskey Smoke Wagon line. The whiskey is actually distilled from MGP, so the actual juice is from MGP, which means that it does share at least some of its genetics with others in that same family who do use that same distillate. But that being said, being it aged in Indiana and both in Nevada, the family resemblance between the other ones that also use MGP may be a bit skewed because they blend it and they age it differently. Now, the mash bill on it is 60% corn, 36% rye, and 4% malted barley, which explains the sweetness that really does come with it. Lastly, it did win a double gold at the San Francisco World Spirit Competition in 2017, 2020, and 2021. So, I mean, really, that is nothing to sneeze at. Now, the price here that we can see at Costco is at $62.99, which is a pretty good price on it, considering that when I look at my local Total Wine in Bevmo, they have it for sale at $76.99 at Total Wine and $79.99 at Bevmo. So, since I did pick it up at Costco, I do end up saving about $14 over the Total Wine price, or 18.18%. Now, the ABV on the Smoke Wagon Uncut Unfiltered, this one specifically, it does change from batch to batch. So this one specifically is at 57.44%. You can see it there. They handwrite it on the label, which is pretty cool. It's what I like to think of as something to close the night with, especially after a big dinner and a full belly. You want to have something with a little bit higher ABV so you can get the feelings out of it. The tasting notes on it mention things like brown butter, sugar, and toffee, as well as cocoa powder, tobacco, and desert flavors, which I don't really know what they are, but it does totally make sense, especially if you're drinking it in Las Vegas. But they all basically sound pretty good. The review scores on it are quite good, which explains why the Uncut Unfiltered is the darling of the Smoke Wagon line. But it does get an average score of 89 points out of 100, which I think is probably about right. I would probably maybe give it a 90 instead, but most of the scores were either at the high 80s or the low 90s, so that seems pretty fair. So for me, this one was a buy because, well, I do really like the sweet sacchariness of the whiskey, coupled with the high ABV. It's, again, great to sip on, maybe after you get back from dinner, or as a nightcap to chill out before you sleep, or, you come out from a long night out. It's just something to kind of get you calmed down for the evening. So for me, this one was a buy. Now, this next one we see here is in the family of whiskeys that I really, really like. I've liked since I first tried them, and I have liked them ever since. They were probably one of the first scotches that I learned to love, and they are from Islay, and it's that peatiness that kind of draws me in, like it does to a lot of folks, which is Lagavulin. In this case specifically, it's a Lagavulin 8. Usually, I have a bottle of Lagavulin 16 pretty much always open on the bar here somewhere, and ready to go, just in case I feel inclined to do it. It's a year round. And just one of my go-tos, whiskeys or scotches that I drink from the Scotch family whenever I feel inclined. It's just, and it's one of those whiskeys that I want to kind of take a deep dive and really explore all the different machinations of the line, because I like it just that much. Now, this 8-year-old version of it is one that is on my list of ones to buy, although I did not buy it this time around, primarily because the price on them tend to be all over the place. So I just have not found one where the price seems to make sense. They kind of go up, they go down. Some people have it for higher, some people have it for lower. And it's sort of hard because, I don't really know where the fair price is supposed to be. I know where people are putting it, but I don't know where I actually want to buy it at. So even though this Lagavulin is only 8 years old, I think it is refreshing that they have decided really to not chase that age statement dragon that a lot of other distillers are. They want to get older and older and older, which always comes with a higher price, which makes sense. That's money, right? They make money easily. But they stuck with this younger whiskey because they felt that it would fill the profile that they were actually trying to produce for this, 200th anniversary of Lagavulin special whiskey that they put out. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's like comparing the old George Clooney to the young George Clooney. Yes, in his mid-50s and kind of late 50s is when he hit his prime. There's just no way around that. But, the fresh-faced Clooney from his early years, it has its own appeal to it as well. It's a little strange because he's just not that kind of masculine handsomeness yet. But same thing with the Lagavulin, right? The 8 versus the 16. Now, also with keeping the age statement down, it has the added benefit of keeping that price down, although it is a specialty, technically a specialty Lagavulin. What it means is that a lot of folks who maybe aren't able to afford a 16 or any older specialty versions of Lagavulin will actually be able to enjoy the 8-year-old and kind of get in with the family line and kind of start their way up the ladder. So it's kind of more for maybe some of the newer whiskey lovers, an advantage for them as well. Now, as I had mentioned, the pricing on this one is a bit off, specifically this one here at Costco. And I'm not sure if everyone thought it would be a big hit or it'd be a big flop, but here at Costco we can see that the price on it is at $70.88, which I think means it was already discounted, right? The 88 cents is usually, because everything else is like 99 cents, so when it's 88 cents or some sort of weird cents on it, I think that means there's a discount. But even with the price drop, this one is one of those rare times where both Bevmo and Total Wine have a lower price than Costco. So at Bevmo, they have it priced at $64.99, which is pretty good in comparison, and as well as Total Wine, who has it at even lower at $59.99, which is the best price. This means that if you did buy it, or if I did buy it at Costco, I would have ended up paying $12.89 more than the Total Wine price, or around 21.49% over the Total Wine cost. So again, another reason why I did not pick it up. The ABV on the Lagavulin 8 is at 46%, so it is a bit of a step up from the traditional Lagavulin 16, which is at 43% ABV, which again, I think is the spirit. Okay, no pun intended, maybe a little bit. To have this 200 celebration of Lagavulin to be a drink more hot and more youthful than what they traditionally put out on their 16. The taste profile on the Lagavulin 8 mentions a youthful flavor, peat, orchard fruit, fresh wood, vanilla, malt, salt, and big league chew, the bubble gum, which again does kind of sound like it just reminds you that, it's reminiscent of youthful endeavors. So things like, maybe like the first day of freshman football, or log cabins in Yosemite in the middle of summer, or beach days. just youthful, Now, the reviews on Lagavulin 8 have been pretty good, despite seeing it kind of everywhere, all over the place. It does seem pretty readily available. And I think maybe they just made too much of it, or they haven't priced it right, or maybe people they see the lower age statement and think, I'm not going to go for this. For a little bit more, I can get the Lagavulin. Not really sure, but it did get an average review score of 87 points out of 100, which is pretty good. And no doubt about it, people are not raving it like the 16, which gets the 90 scores. But I think that could be because of a couple things. First, the current whiskey commissariat's obsession with the age statement, which I've talked about, don't think can kind of blind somebody and force them to ignore their senses and their palate and all those kinds of things just for the hard number of that age statement. It's really kind of hard to work around that when you're kind of trying to balance it out in your head, especially if you haven't tried it. But, it is still a pretty good score at 87 points. And so for me, this Lagavulin 8 is definitely going to be on my list of things to pick up. But I want to see if I can find it a little bit lower. I think there's room in the price to continue to go down, considering it's not that popular. Maybe into the mid $50s, a little bit lower side of $50, and then I think I would definitely snatch it up because it is sitting on the shelf for quite some time. You can already see that Costco's discounted it. And it doesn't seem like people are willing to kind of step off the beaten path to try this more youthful version of the Lagavulin 8 and just kind of stick with the other one. So for me, this is a buy, but I did not buy it at this Costco at that price. All right, so for this last whiskey for today is one that I have shied away from in general, but I did end up buying it previously, is this High West Prairie Bourbon. I think I bought it because it was maybe at like Pavillon or somewhere like that, where you can get like if you buy 6 bottles, you get a discount on it. And I needed one extra bottle and I couldn't see anything else. So I did end up getting this one previously, but I did not buy this one at the Costco. And I see them kind of pop up here and there and everywhere. And the labeling, look at the labeling's pretty cool. It's kind of got an old Westy feel to it, like a wanted poster picture. or like a wild animal park kind of thing going to it. So I like it. And the bottle is hand blown. I mean, that's super nice as well. But of course, that's, what ultimately is important is the whiskey on the inside. But every time I look at the reviews on this one, aside from the Midwinter's Night dram, which again is on my list, I will be hunting that down. I'm going to find that somewhere, which obviously is at the high level for this one. But the reviews on this one have not been so great, so I always tend to hesitate if I want to buy it, and even I have not tried it yet. Now, along with the other distillers like Smoke Wagon or the Whistle Pig or Redwood Empire or Barrel Spirits, I include this High West as part of the new age bourbon types. These are groups that are actually trying to push the edge of what mass production kind of whiskey could be, instead of sticking with just kind of the old-timey mores and traditions and code that go along with it, which I think is great. They're incorporating a lot of kind of the new worlds of blended whiskeys that really create interesting and complex and truly delicious whiskeys. I mean, they're kind of distinct and unique from the normal traditional whiskey. Of course, that being said, High West seems to be at the bottom of that group. This Prairie Bourbon specifically is originally made from distillate from MGP and one other unnamed source, which is likely Barton's. It has two separate mash bills for it. So first on the MGP side is 86% corn, 21% rye, and 4% malted barley. And then from the unnamed associate, it's 84% corn, 8% rye, and 8% malted barley. Also, for those of you who loved age statements, it's aged a minimum of 2 years, which, let's face it, that is basically nothing. I mean, I have popsicles in my freezer that have been aged 2 years or more, maybe even longer. So, to be fair, though, at the price point for a small scale operation like High West, and an entry point whiskey for them, it's kind of sort of what you would expect for it. Now, the price we see here at Costco is at $31.88, which is kind of just a few dollars under what you would pay for it if you went to Bevmo or if you went to Total Wine. Total Wine has it at $32.99, of course, after a pretty steep price slashes, and Bevmo has it at $34.99. So, if you do end up picking this one up at Costco, you'll be saving $1.11 off the Total Wine price, or 3.36%, which means there isn't really much savings to go into it, which also to me at least means that first, Costco, $31.88 means that it's been discounted already at Costco, and then Costco typically has it at the lowest price, like an MSRP or near MSRP. Because, they sell tires and they want you to buy other stuff. Total Wine usually tends to be a little bit higher, and then Bevmo is usually at the highest. And when you start seeing the price consolidations all happening, I think that usually means that there's not a lot of demand and everyone's just trying to get rid of it. So I think that's what's happening in this one. Now, the ABV on this High West Prairie Bourbon is at 48%, so it is a bit higher on the range of ABV. And the flavor on it mentions things like dried dark fruit, leather, nuts, and vegetable oil, oak, and a really not complex flavor, which, could be off-putting for a lot of like the standard kind of mid-tea level to whiskey drinkers, like I include myself. Now, the overall reviews on this Prairie Bourbon are quite low at 76.7 points out of 100, which is pretty bad. Like, it's C effort, you'll get your degree, but it's still kind of bad. I mean, even looking at Jack Daniel's old number 7, it gets 80 points in general. So, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, it's bad. So for me, this one, at least at this Costco, is going to be a pass. I think I would hold out to try to get some of that Midwinter's Nights dram, if I could find it, of course. But at the low end of the High West side, I think I'm just gonna pass, or at least wait until they come out with something that gets a reasonably high reviews, or again, if I need another bottle to make a 6-pack to get the discount. So for this one in this trip, definitely gonna be a pass. All right, so that is it gonna be for today's Whiskey Wanders in Henderson, Nevada. And I really do appreciate all of you who have made it this far in the video. And if you have made it this far and you have not yet done so, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so you get notified when my newest videos come out. And as a last thing, just remember, if you do see a whiskey you love, just buy it. Because if you don't, somebody else surely will. And it might even be me. All right, have a great weekend, a great rest of your week. I'm out, and adios.